Hey everybody, welcome back to Yehusha's Glory. We are in the book of Jasher. We're in chapter 53, page 405 in the Sefer. Going ahead with the future stuff. It says, Yaakov's sons go again to Mitzrayim for bread. Benjamin presented before Joseph. Joseph's cup, and then talks about Joseph's conduct toward Benjamin, by which he makes himself known to him, and then resolves to prove his brethren by taking away Benjamin from them, and puts his cup in Benjamin's sack of grain and sends them home to their father. An officer is sent after them who accuses them of purloining his master's cup, brings them back to Joseph. Benjamin is taken from them by force, and they are told to go on their way. So we got that coming up right now, and here we go. We're going to get right into it. And the sons of Yaakov rose up and took Benjamin and the whole of the presents, and they went and came to Mitzrayim. And they stood before Joseph, and Joseph beheld his brother Benjamin with them. And he saluted them, and these men came to Joseph's house. And Joseph commanded the superintendent of the house to give to his brethren to eat, and he did so unto them. And at noontime Joseph sent for the men to come before him with Benjamin. And the men told the superintendent of Joseph's house concerning the silver that was returned in their sacks. And he said unto them, It will be well with you, fear not, and be brought. And he brought their brother Shimon unto them. And Shimon, or Simon, said unto his brethren, The Lord of the Mitzrayim has acted very kindly unto me. He did not keep me bound, as you saw with your eyes, for when you went out from the city, he let me free and dealt kindly with me in his house. And Yehuda took Benjamin by the hand, and they came before Joseph, and they bowed down to him to the ground. And the men gave the present unto Joseph, and they all sat before him. And Joseph said unto them, It is well with you, it is well with your children, it is well with your aged father, he's asking. And they said, It is well. And Yehuda took the record which Yaakov had sent, and gave it into the hand of Joseph. And Joseph read the Sefer, and knew his father's handwriting, and he wished to weep. And he went into an inner room, and he wept a great weeping, and he went out. And he lifted up his eyes, and beheld his brother Benjamin, and he said, Is this your brother of whom you spoke unto me? And Benjamin approached Joseph, and Joseph placed his hand upon his head, and he said unto him, May Elohim be gracious unto you, my son. And when Joseph saw his brother, the son of his mother, he again wished to weep. And he entered the chamber, and he wept there. And he washed his face, and went out, and refrained from weeping. And he said, Prepare food. And Joseph had a cup from which he drank, and it was of silver, beautifully inlaid with onyx stones and bdellium. And Joseph struck the cup in the sight of his brethren while they were sitting to eat with him. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup that Reuben the firstborn, Shimon and Levi, and Yehuda, Issachar, and Zebulun are children from one mother. Seat yourselves to eat according to your births. And he also placed the others according to their births, and he said, I know that this your youngest brother has no brother, and I, like him, have no brother. He shall therefore sit down to eat with me. And Benjamin went up before Joseph, and sat upon the throne, and the men beheld the acts of Joseph, and they were astonished at them. And the men ate and drank at that time with Joseph. And he then gave presents to them, and Joseph gave one gift unto Benjamin, and Manasseh and Ephraim saw the acts of their father, and they also gave presents unto him. And Asenath gave him one present, and they were 5 presents in the hand of Benjamin. And Joseph brought them out wine to drink, and they would not drink. And they said, From the day on which Joseph was lost, we have not drunk wine, nor eaten any delicacies. And Joseph swore unto them, and he pressed them hard, and they drank plentifully with him on that day. And Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him. And Benjamin was still sitting upon the throne before Joseph. And Joseph said unto him, Have you begotten any children? And he said, Your servant has 10 sons, and these are their names, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Eki, Rosh, Amupim, and Chupaim and Ard. And I called their names after my brother, whom I have not seen. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, I have heard that the Ivrim are acquainted with all wisdom. Do you know anything of this? And Benjamin said, Your servant is knowing also in all the wisdom which my father taught me. And Joseph said unto Benjamin, Look now at this instrument, and understand where your brother Joseph is in Mitzrayim, who you said went down to Mitzrayim. And Benjamin beheld that instrument with the map of the stars of heavens, and he was wise, and looked therein to know where his brother was. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Mitzrayim into 4 divisions. And he found that he who was sitting upon the throne before him was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said unto Benjamin, What have you seen, and why are you astonished? And Benjamin said unto Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph my brother sits here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph your brother. Reveal not this thing unto your brethren. Behold, I will send you with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again into the city, and I will take you away from them. And if they dare their lives and fight for you, then shall I know that they have repented of what they did unto me. And I will make myself known to them. And if they forsake you when I take you, then shall you remain with me, and I will wrangle with them, and they shall go away, and I will not become known to them. At that time Joseph commanded his officer to fill their sacks with food, and to put each man's money into his sack, and to put the cup in the sack of Benjamin, and give them provision for the road. And they did so unto them. And on the next day the men rose up early in the morning, and they loaded their asses with their grain, and they went forth with Benjamin, and they went to the land of Canaan with their brother Benjamin, and they had not gone far from Mitzrayim, when Joseph commanded him that was set over his house, saying, Rise, pursue these men before they get too far from Mitzrayim, and say unto them, Why have you stolen my master's cup? And Joseph's officer rose up, and he reached them, and he spoke unto them all the words of Joseph. And when they heard this thing, they became exceedingly wroth, and they said, He with whom your master's cup shall be found shall die, and we will also become slaves. And they hastened, and each man brought down his sack from his ass, and they looked in their bags, and the cup was found in Benjamin's bag. And they all tore their garments, and they returned to the city, and they smote Benjamin in the road, continually smiting him, until he came into the city. And they stood before Joseph, and Yehuda's anger was kindled, and he said, This man has only brought me back to destroy Mitzrayim this day. And the men came to Joseph's house, and they found Joseph sitting upon his throne, and all the mighty men standing at his right and left. And Joseph said unto them, What is this act that you have done? And you took away my silver cup and went away. But I know that you took my cup in order to know thereby in what part of the land your brother was. And Yehuda said, What shall we say to our Lord? What shall we speak? And how shall we justify ourselves? Elohim has this day found the iniquity of all your servants. Therefore he has done this thing to us this day. And Joseph rose up and caught hold of Benjamin, and took him from his brethren with violence. And he came to the house, and locked the door at them. And Joseph commanded him that he was set over his house, and he should say unto them, Thus says the king, Go in peace to your father. Behold, I have taken the man in whose hand my cup was found. Now in the future it reads, Yehuda will be here. Yehuda breaks through the door to get to Joseph and Benjamin. He recounts the many mighty deeds of his brethren, and threatens to destroy all Mitzrayim if Benjamin be not released. Joseph wrangles with his brethren, and he accuses them of selling their brother. They commence to war upon the Mitzrayim and frighten the whole land. After satisfying himself of their repentance for selling their brother, Joseph makes himself known to them and bestows presents upon them. They are presented before Pharaoh, who commands Joseph to bring all his father's household down to Mitzrayim. He sends chariots for this purpose, laden with presents, luxuries, and clothing. Jacob's joy on learning that Joseph is still alive. Okay, here we go. This is going to be fun. Chapter 54, page 406, Sefer, book of Jasher. And when Yehuda saw the dealings of Joseph with them, Yehuda approached him and broke open the door. and came with his brethren before Joseph. And Yehuda said to Joseph, let it not seem grievous in the sight of my lord. May your servant, I pray you, speak a word before you. And Joseph said unto him, speak. And Yehuda spoke before Joseph, and his brethren were there standing before them. And Yehuda said unto Joseph, surely when we first came to our lord to buy food, you did consider us as spies of the land. And we brought Benjamin before you, and you still make sport of us this day. Now, therefore, let the king hear my words, and send, I pray you, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, lest your soul perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Mitzrayim. Do you not know what two of my brethren, Simon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem, and unto 7 cities of the Amorim on account of our sister Dinah? And also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? And I with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, come this day upon you and your land, if you are unwilling to send our brother. Have you not heard what our Elohim, who had made choice of us, did unto Pharaoh on account of Sarah our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he smote him and his household with heavy plagues, that even unto this day the Mitzrayim relate this wonder to each other? So will our Elohim do unto you on account of Benjamin, whom you have this day taken from his father, and on account of the evils which you this day heap over us in our land for our Elohim? For our Elohim will remember his covenant with our father Abraham, and bring evil upon you, because you have grieved the soul of our father this day. Now therefore hear my words that I have this day spoken unto you, and send our brother, that he may go away, lest you and the people of your land die by the sword, for you cannot all prevail over me. And Joseph answered Yehuda, saying, why have you opened wide your mouth, and why do you boast over us, saying, strength is with you? As Pharaoh lives, if I command all my valiant men to fight with you, surely you and these your brethren would sink in the mire. And Yehuda said unto Joseph, surely it becomes you and your people to fear me. And as Yahuwah lives, if I once draw my sword, I shall not sheath it again until I see this day have slain all Mitzrayim, and I will commence with you and finish with Pharaoh your master. And Joseph answered and said unto him, surely strength belongs not alone to you. I am stronger and mightier than you. Surely if you draw your sword, I will put it to your neck and the necks of all your brethren. And Yehuda said unto him, surely if I this day open my mouth against you, I would swallow you up, that you be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from your kingdom. And Joseph said, surely if you open your mouth, I have power and might to close your mouth with a stone, until you shall not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us? Truly I can take a stone and force it into your mouth and break your jaws. And Yehuda said, Elohim is witness between us, that we have not hitherto desired to battle with you. Only give us our brother, and we will go from you. And Joseph answered and said, as Pharaoh lives, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother shall be unto me for a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. And Yehuda said, what is it to you, or to the character of the king? Surely the king sends forth from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses. And you still talk about your cup, which you did place in our brother's bag, and say that he has stolen it from you. Far be it that our brother Benjamin, or any of the seed of Abraham, should do this thing to steal from you, or anyone else, whether king, prince, or any man. Now, therefore cease this accusation, lest the whole earth hear your words, saying, for a little silver the king of Mitzrayim wrangled with the men, and he accused them and took their brother for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, take unto you this cup, and go from me, and leave your brother for a slave, for it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Yehuda said, why are you not ashamed of your words, to leave our brother, and to take your cup? Surely if you give us your cup, or 1,000 times as much, we will not leave our brother for the silver which is found in the hand of any man, that we will not die over him. And Joseph answered, why did you forsake your brother, and sell him for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And why then will you not do the same to this your brother? And Yehusha said, Yahuwah is witness between me and you, that we desire not your battles. Now therefore give us our brother, and we will go from you without quarreling. And Joseph answered and said, If all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. And Yehusha said, What shall we say unto our father when he sees that our brother comes not with us, and we grieve over him? And Joseph answered and said, This is the thing which you shall tell unto your father, saying, The rope has gone after the bucket. And Yehusha said, Surely you are a king, and why speak you these things, giving a false judgment? Woe unto the king who is like unto you. And Joseph answered and said, There is no false judgment in the word that I spoke on account of your brother Joseph, for all of you sold him to the Midianite for 20 pieces of silver, and you all denied it to your father, and said unto him, An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces. And Yehusha said, Behold, the fire of Shem burns in my heart now. I will burn all your land with fire. And Joseph answered and said, Surely your sister-in-law, Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shechem. And Yehusha said, If I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, I will fill all Mitzrayim with its blood. And Joseph answered and said, Such is your custom to do as you did to your brother whom you sold. And you dipped his coat in blood, and brought it to your father, in order that he might say, An evil beast devoured him, and here is his blood. And when Yehusha heard this thing, he was exceedingly wroth, and his anger burned within him, and there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. And Yehusha's anger was kindled, and he took the stone in one hand, and cast it to the heavens, and caught it with his left hand. And he placed it afterward under his legs, and he sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Yehusha. And Joseph saw the act of Yehusha, and he was very much afraid. But he commanded Manasseh his son, and he also did with another stone like unto the act of Yehusha. And Yehusha said unto his brethren, Let not any of you say, This man is a Mitzri, but by his doing this thing, he is of our father's family. And Joseph said, Not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men. And why will you boast over us all? And Yehusha said unto Joseph, Send, I pray you, our brother, and ruin not your country this day. And Joseph answered and said unto them, Go and tell your father, An evil beast has devoured him, as you said concerning your brother Joseph. And Yehusha spoke to his brother Naphtali, and he said unto him, Make haste, go now and number all the streets of Mitzrayim, and come and tell me. And Shimon said unto him, Let not this thing be a trouble to you. Now I will go to the mountain, take up one large stone from the mountain, and level it at everyone in Mitzrayim, and kill all that are in it. And Joseph heard all these words that his brethren spoke before him, and they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he knew not to speak Ivrit. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brethren, lest they should destroy Mitzrayim. And he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, Go now, make haste, and gather unto me all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me now upon horseback, and on foot, and with all sorts of musical instruments. And Manasseh went and did so. And Naphtali went as Yehusha had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he would go upon the ears of grain, and they would not break under him. And he went and numbered all the streets of Mitzrayim, and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Yehusha, and Yehusha said unto his brethren, Hasten you, and put on every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Mitzrayim and smite them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Yehusha said, Behold, I will destroy thee 3 of the streets with my strength, and you shall each destroy 1 street. And when Yehuda was speaking this thing, behold, the inhabitants of Mitzrayim and all the mighty men came toward them with all sorts of musical instruments and with loud shouting. And their number was 500 cavalry and 10,000 infantry and 400 men who could fight without sword or spear, only with their hand and strength. And all the mighty men came with great storming and shouting. And they all surrounded the sons of Jacob and terrified them. And the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. And when the sons of Jacob saw these troops, they were greatly afraid of their lives. And Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Jacob to become tranquilized. And Yehuda, seeing some of his brethren terrified, said unto them, Why are you afraid, while the grace of Elohim is with us? And when Yehuda saw all the people of Mitzrayim surrounding them at the command of Joseph to terrify them, only Joseph commanded them, saying, Do not touch any of them. Then Yehuda hastened and drew his sword and uttered a loud and bitter scream, and he smote with his sword, and he sprang upon the ground, and he still continued to shout against all the people. And when he did this thing, Yahuwah caused the terror of Yehuda and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them, and they all fled at the sound of the shouting. And they were terrified and fell one upon the other, and many of them died as they fell, and they all fled from before Yehuda and his brethren, and from before Joseph. And while they were fleeing, Yehuda and his brethren pursued them unto the house of Pharaoh, and they all escaped. And Yehuda again sat before Joseph, and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. And the shriek was heard at a distance, and all the inhabitants of Kukot heard it. And all Mitzrayim quaked at the sound of the shriek, and also the walls of Mitzrayim and of the land of Goshen fell in from the shaking of the earth. And Pharaoh also fell from his throne upon the ground. And also all the pregnant women of Mitzrayim and Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, for they were terribly afraid. And Pharaoh sent word, saying, What is this thing that this day has happened in the land of Mitzrayim? And they came and told him all the things from beginning to end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered, and was greatly afraid. And his fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent unto Joseph, saying, You have brought unto me the ivory to destroy all Mitzrayim. What will you do with that thievish slave? Send him away, and let him go with his brethren, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all Mitzrayim. And if you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to your land, if you delight in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country, and slay all my people. Even all the women of Mitzrayim have miscarried through their screams. See what they have done merely by their shouting and speaking? Moreover, if they fight with the sword, they will destroy the land. Now therefore choose that which you desire, whether me or the Ivrim, whether Mitzrayim or the land of the Ivrim. And they came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh that he had said concerning him. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of Pharaoh. And Yehuda and his brethren were still standing before Joseph, indignant and enraged. And all the sons of Jacob roared at Joseph, like the roaring of the sea and its waves. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh, and Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy all Mitzrayim. And Joseph commanded his son Manasseh, and Manasseh went and approached Yehuda, and placed his hand upon his shoulder, and the anger of Yehuda was stilled. And Yehuda said unto his brethren, Let no one of you say that this is the act of a Mitzri youth, for this is the work of my father's house. And Joseph, seeing and knowing that Yehuda's anger was stilled, he approached to speak unto Yehuda in the language of mildness. And Joseph said unto Yehuda, Surely you speak truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength. And may your Elohim, who delights in you, increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from amongst all your brethren do you wrangle with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him? And Yehuda answered Joseph, saying, Surely you must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, If I brought him not unto him, I should bear his blame forever. Therefore have I approached you from amongst all my brethren, for I saw that you were unwilling to suffer him to go from you. Now therefore may I find grace in your sight, that you shall send him to go with us, and behold, I will remain as a substitute for him, to serve you in whatsoever you desire. For wheresoever you shall send me, I will go to serve you with great energy. Send me now to a mighty king who has rebelled against you, and you shall know that I will do unto him and unto his land. You will know what I will do unto him and unto his land. Although he may have cavalry and infantry, or an exceeding mighty people, I will slay them all and bring the king's head before you. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham with his servant Eleazar smote all the kings of Elam with their hosts in one night? They left not one remaining. And ever since that day, our father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance, for us and our seed forever. And Joseph answered and said, You speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told unto us that the Ivrim have power, and that Yahuwah Elohim delights much in them, and who can then stand before them? However, on this condition will I send your brother, if you will bring before me his brother, the son of his mother, of whom you said that he had gone from you down to Mitzrayim. And it shall come to pass, when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you was security for him to your father. And when he shall come unto me, I will then send you his brother, for whom you should have been security. And Yehuda's anger was kindled against Joseph when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped blood with anger. And he said unto his brethren, How does this man this day seek his own destruction and that of all Mitzrayim? And Simon, or Shimon, answered Joseph, saying, Did we not tell you at first that we knew not the particular spot to which he went, and whether he be dead or alive? And wherefore speaks my Lord like unto these things? And Joseph, observing the countenance of Yehuda, discerned that his anger began to kindle when he spoke unto him, saying, Bring unto me your other brother instead of this brother. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Surely you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now if I should call him this day, and he should come before you, would you give him unto me instead of his brother? And Joseph began to speak and call out, Joseph, come this day before me, and appear to your brethren, and sit before them. And when Joseph spoke this thing before them, they looked each a different way to see from whence Joseph would come before them. And Joseph observed all their acts, and said unto them, Why do you look here and there? I am Joseph, whom you sold to Mitzrayim. Now therefore let it not grieve you that you sold me for a support. During the famine did Elohim send me before you. And his brethren were terrified at him when they heard the words of Joseph, and Yehuda was exceedingly terrified at him. And when Benjamin heard the words of Joseph, he was before them in the inner part of the house, and Benjamin ran unto Joseph his brother, and embraced him, and fell upon his neck, and they wept. And when Joseph's brethren saw that Benjamin had fallen upon his brother's neck and wept with him, they also fell upon Joseph and embraced him, and they wept a great weeping with Joseph. And the voice was heard in the house of Joseph that they were Joseph's brethren. And it pleased Pharaoh exceedingly, for he was afraid of them, lest they should destroy Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh sent his servants unto Joseph to congratulate him concerning his brethren who had come to him. And all the captains of the armies and troops that were in Mitzrayim came to rejoice with Joseph, and all Mitzrayim rejoiced greatly about Joseph's brethren. And Pharaoh sent his servants to Joseph, saying, Tell your brethren to fetch all belonging to them, and let them come unto me, and I will place them in the best part of the land of Mitzrayim. And they did so. And Joseph commanded him that was set over his house to bring out to his brethren gifts and garments, and he brought out to them many garments, being robes of royalty and many gifts, and Joseph divided them amongst his brethren. And he gave unto each of his brethren a change of garments of gold and silver, and 300 pieces of silver. And Joseph commanded them all to be dressed in these garments, and to be brought before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, seeing all Joseph's brethren were valiant men and of beautiful appearance, he greatly rejoiced. And they afterward went out from the presence of Pharaoh to go to the land of Canaan to their father. And their brother Benjamin was with them. And Joseph rose up and gave unto them 11 chariots from Pharaoh. And Joseph gave unto them his chariot, upon which he rode on the day of his being crowned in Mitzrayim, to fetch his father to Mitzrayim. And Joseph sent to all his brothers' children garments according to their numbers, and 100 pieces of silver to each of them. And he also sent garments to the women of his brethren from the garments of the king's women, and he sent them. And he gave unto each of his brethren 10 men to go with them to the land of Canaan, to serve them, to serve their children, and all belonging to them in coming to Mitzrayim. And Joseph sent by the hand of his brother Benjamin 10 suits of garments for his 10 sons, a portion above the rest of the children of the sons of Jacob. And he sent to each 50 pieces of silver and 10 chariots on the account of Pharaoh. And he sent to his father 10 asses laden with all the luxuries of Mitzrayim, and 10 she-asses laden with grain and bread and nourishment for his father, and to all that were with him as provisions for the road. And he sent to his sister Dinah garments of silver and gold, and frankincense and myrrh, and aloes, and women's ornaments in great plenty. And he sent the same from the women of Pharaoh to the women of Benjamin. And he gave unto all his brethren also to their women all sorts of onyx stones and bdellium, and from all the valuable things amongst the great people of Mitzrayim, nothing of all the costly things was left but what Joseph sent of to his father's household. And he sent his brethren away, and they went, and he sent his brother Benjamin with them, and Joseph went out with them to accompany them on the road unto the borders of Mitzrayim. And he commanded them concerning his father and his household to come to Mitzrayim, and he said unto them, Do not quarrel on the road, for this thing was from Yehusha to guard a great people from starvation, for there will be yet 5 years of famine in the land. And he commanded them, saying, When you come unto the land of Canaan, do not come suddenly before my father in this affair, but act in your wisdom. And Joseph ceased to command them, and he turned and went back to Mitzrayim, and the sons of Jacob went to the land of Canaan with joy and cheerfulness to their father Jacob. And they came unto the borders of the land, and they said to each other, What shall we do in this matter before our father? For if we come suddenly to him and tell him the matter, he will be greatly alarmed at our words, and will not believe us. And they went along until they came nigh unto their houses, and they found Serach, the daughter of Jasher, going forth to meet them. And the damsel was very good and subtle, and knew how to play upon the harp. And they called unto her, and she came before them, and she kissed them, and they took her and gave her a harp, saying, Go now before our father, and sit before him, and strike the harp, and speak these words. And they commanded her to go to their house, and she took the harp and hastened before them. And she came and sat near Jacob, and she played well and sang, and uttered in the sweetness of her voice and her words, Joseph, my uncle, is living, and he rules throughout the land of Mitzrayim, and is not dead. And she continued to repeat and utter these words, and Jacob heard her words, and they were agreeable to him. He listened while she repeated them twice and thrice, and joy entered the heart of Jacob at the sweetness of her words, and the Ruach Elohim was upon him, and he knew all her words to be true. And Jacob blessed Sarah when she spoke these words before him, and he said unto her, My daughter, may death never prevail over you, for you have revived my Ruach. Only speak yet before me as you have spoken, for you have gladdened me with all your words. And she continued to sing these words, and Jacob listened, and it pleased him, and he rejoiced, and the Ruach Elohim was upon him. While he was yet speaking with her, behold, his sons came to him with horses and chariots and royal garments and servants running before them. And Jacob rose up to meet them and saw his sons dressed in royal garments. And he saw all the treasures that Joseph had sent to them, and they said unto him, Be informed that our brother Joseph is living, and it is he who rules throughout the land of Mitzrayim. It is he who spoke unto us as we told you. And Jacob heard all the words of his sons, and his heart palpitated at their words, and he could not believe them until he saw all that Joseph had given them, and what he had sent him. and all the signs which Joseph had spoken unto them. And they opened out before him, and showed him all that Joseph had sent. They gave unto each what Joseph had sent him, and he knew that they had spoken the truth, and he rejoiced exceedingly on account of his son. And Jacob said, It is enough for me that my son Joseph is still living. I will go and see him before I die. And his sons told him all that had befallen them. And Jacob said, I will go down to Mitzrayim to see my son and his offspring. And Jacob rose up and put on the garments which Joseph had sent him. And after he had washed and shaved his hair, he put upon his head the turban which Joseph had sent him. And all the people of Jacob's house and their women put on the garments which Joseph had sent to them. And they greatly rejoiced at Joseph that he was still living, and that he was ruling in Mitzrayim. And all the inhabitants of Canaan heard of this thing, and they came and rejoiced much with Jacob, and he was still living, that he was still living. And Jacob made a feast for them for 3 days. And all the kings of Canaan and nobles of the land ate and drank and rejoiced in the house of Jacob. Okay, we're going to stop here, but in the future here, quite quickly, it'll start to say, let's see, Yahuwah commands Jacob to go down to Mitzrayim, where he will make him a great nation. Joseph and all Mitzrayim go to meet Jacob to do him honor when he arrives. The land of Goshen is given to him and his children. So that's coming up. We're going to stop now. We're out of time. Hey, I want to thank you all very, very, very much for being here. This is a big deal that you're here and you're listening. Father loves you so much. He is very pleased that we're all here for him. We give all the glory to him. Father Yahuwah, we love you in the name of Yehusha. Take care of all of us. We love you forever and ever. Amen. See you next time on Yahusha's Glory.